With the most recent superhero arc of Dragon Ball Super finally being completed in the manga, we have come out of it with not only one new transformation for Piccolo, but two: Potential Awaken and Orange Piccolo. Piccolo's new transformations didn't get much of a showcase though, as he really never got to fight anybody equal or close to his power, and give us a good display of these new forms, and really allow us to see where he places on the measuring stick. So I thought a fun video idea would be to take what we know of Piccolo in the recent superhero arc and then stack him up against a gauntlet of all the villains of Super, and guess as to how much power he'd actually require in order to face and defeat each villain. We'll be using manga first, and then the anime to clear up any gaps or misinformation or extra abilities that the villains may have access to, as the manga usually will take from the anime and vice versa. But my preference is the manga. With that said, let's get into it. Piccolo at the beginning of the Super arc would face Gamma 2, who was stated to be on par with Goku and Vegeta. Piccolo here would be referring to the two from the Moro arc, as that's the last time he had seen them in person. If Piccolo's using Goku and Vegeta as a measuring stick at the same time, he's definitely not speaking about the forms that are unique to them, but when they're at blue state, as those are the strongest forms that they have access to that will also allow them to be equal to one another. Moro Saga blues are the best place to put the Gammas, unless you want to argue that Gamma 1 and 2 were MEY level opponents, and by all means argue that, but it's not gonna be with me. Moving on, Piccolo in his first round against Gamma 2 would only have his base form active, which got beaten by Gamma 2 horribly. Piccolo would escape the fight by pretending to have died against Gamma 2's attack. Later on in the arc, they'd have their rematch, and Piccolo, due to making a wish to Shenron for his potential to be unlocked, would have gotten two new transformations, one that turns him slightly yellow and unlocks all of his latent potential, shooting his power up, and then a transformation that draws out even more power beyond his latent potential, turning him completely orange. Both of these forms are referred to as Potential Awaken and Orange Piccolo. We would see both of these in action against Gamma 2. Gamma 2 would be able to overpower Potential Awaken Piccolo after a pretty hard fight, forcing Piccolo to enter into his Orange Piccolo form. So PA Piccolo can be assumed to be a little below Moro Saga Blue Goku and Vegeta, judging from his performance against Gamma 2, although with upcoming chapters, this can certainly change. I also give Piccolo a bit of leniency, as this was his one and only time using the transformation. When we would see Orange Piccolo fight Gamma 2, he'd be able to literally one-shot him while being completely invulnerable to all of his attacks. Yes, the power gap was that massive between his two forms. Orange Piccolo would then make a return against Cell Max, where he would be able to hold him off for a bit of time with the help of Ultimate Gohan, Android 18, the Gammas, and more. But Cell Max would be able to overpower them all without more than mid difficulty. Piccolo, exhausted, would try to fight Cell Max alone, while Gohan would charge up an attack that can defeat Cell Max, but he couldn't last that long. Upon his defeat, Gohan would snap and enter his beast state, completely destroying Cell Max in physical combat and somewhat being close to him in maximum raw power, judging from their beam clash that gave Gohan trouble in the manga. So we know that Orange Piccolo is not on the same level as Beast Gohan, as Orange Piccolo was able to fight Cell Max, but not for long, in comparison to Gohan, who seems to rival him in raw strength and far surpass him due to every other stat that he has. To get an even more accurate scale, let's talk about Beast Gohan. The same Gohan previously mentioned would go on to spar with Ultra Instinct Goku and Super Saiyan Broly. Although Goku would tap out of the fight after seeing the peak of Gohan's power, he did not seem too worried or like he was going all out. Another thing with the current Goku is that we don't know if the silver hair is his strongest form currently. As it's been 2 years since he's discovered the true nature of his Ultra Instinct against gas, I would assume that Goku since then has learned how to utilize his true nature with the silver haired form, but we'll just have to wait and see. Against Super Saiyan Broly, Broly was certainly a rival, but Gohan clearly had the upper hand, as we could see him swinging Broly in circles in the latest chapter. Judging from Piccolo and Beast Gohan's battles in the manga and a little bit of estimation, I'll place Orange Piccolo around the same level as Super Saiyan Broly in the superhero arc in raw power only. Everything else considered, he's probably above him as well. Lastly, if you don't think Orange Piccolo is as strong as I suggest, Toriyama himself would say that Orange Piccolo was on par with Goku and the others now, which didn't seem like the case back when the movie dropped, but with the manga having Gohan struggle a bit more with Cell Max at the end of their battle, I can see the statement making more sense. With that established, let's now compare him to all villains and antagonists of Dragon Ball Super, and see what form with how much difficulty he would require in order to defeat them, if he actually can in the first place. Starting off the gauntlet is the God of Destruction Beerus. A hard one I know, but we can't skip him. Beerus would enter the series completely dominating our main Saiyans, and continue to do so each time he's fought either one of them, no matter how far they've come. But this limits, only being able to be tested when he would have to face 11 other gods of destruction all at the same time, and then engage in a battle royale with them. Despite the circumstances, Beerus would easily display an amazing performance in this battle, as he would use Ultra Instinct to seamlessly dodge and weave himself through all the other Gods of Destruction's attacks at the same time. Mind you, this was a coordinated effort against him. Beerus is obviously on his own level, even compared to today's protagonists and the other Gods of Destruction, and has sat above all mortal characters in the series for over 10 years now, and it doesn't look like anybody will be surpassing him soon. This includes Piccolo with all of his transformations. In the latest chapter, Beerus does also confirm outright that Goku hasn't surpassed him yet, which can imply that he believes it will happen at some point. However, it still hasn't happened as of now. I don't think I need to say much more here. Beerus obviously wins. I'm sure the fight wouldn't be as fast as people would expect it to be though, as Beerus would be interested in whatever Piccolo has to display to him, as around this time, he's expecting to deal with the Saiyan. This scenario would basically play out as long as Beerus would have wanted to, before he would one-shot Piccolo, the same way he one-shots everybody else when he's tired of fighting. Next on the list, we have Golden Frieza from the Resurrection F saga. Due to the manga completely skipping this arc, we'll have to use a combination of the anime and the movie, which honestly gives us about the same Frieza. Frieza, after being resurrected, would tap into his latent potential by training for 4 months. This would allow Frieza to unlock his Golden Frieza form and surpass the powers of both Goku and Vegeta in their Super Saiyan Blue forms at the time. However, he would be defeated due to not training his golden state at all, and thus be unable to sustain it for long. Frieza was a formidable threat, but in the face of current Piccolo, it's one-sided as hell. I would even say that Piccolo in his base has a decent chance of defeating Resurrection F Frieza, in the event that he's able to outlast his golden transformation. Piccolo going into either his Power Awakened state or Orange would just decimate him, as Power Awakened can at the very least match a Moro Saga Blue Goku, who's far above anything he can do from the Resurrection F saga. Remember, Goku and Vegeta weren't even using the full power of their blue states until after the Goku Black saga. Piccolo has so many win conditions against this Frieza that it's ridiculous. It's no more than child's play to him, and if this ever played out in the series, it would be the easiest win he's ever had. But if you ask me, Piccolo legitimately finds a way to take out Golden Frieza in his base, and if he doesn't, he goes into his Power Awakened state and flicks off Frieza's head with the air pressure of his pinky finger. Moving on from Frieza, we have an opponent who's a little more tricky and worthy. Coming from the Universe 6 saga, Hit the Assassin. The strength of Hit is introduced on chapters 12 and 13 of Dragon Ball Super. This is where we see him utilize an ability called the timeskip. The timeskip allows him, as the namesake suggests, to skip time, similar to Diavolo's technique from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Hit, using this technique, is able to destroy a Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta without really any trouble. This is due to the fact that Vegeta did not master Super Saiyan Blue yet, so at this point of time, he couldn't even draw out 10% of its power. Goku would then go up against Hit right after he defeat Vegeta, and use Super Saiyan God to overwhelm him in his technique, as it's revealed that if the opponent possesses more raw strength than Hit, his time skip technique will not be as potent as it usually is. Hit would then use all of his power to freeze God Goku the same way he was doing before. But Goku going into blue would be able to break through Hit's full power time skip and basically end the fight. Goku forfeits after because he'd find out that Hit can't go all out despite using his raw power and improving his time skip, because Hit is a technique based fighter and the rules of the tournament prevent Hit from using all of his techniques. I do think that Hit would force Piccolo to use his Power Awakened state, as I can't see Piccolo having a single chance to set up a special beam cannon or anything of the sort in his base against Hit due to his time skip ability. But I think from there on, the power gap becomes so massive that Hit wouldn't be able to really time skip at all. Maybe under different circumstances he can catch Piccolo off guard with some assassination attacks, but in the tournament setting that they would be placed in, I can't see it happening. Hit also grows very fast in strength while fighting, but I can't see him growing fast enough to make a difference in the power gap here. I'd say here, Power Awakened Piccolo would low div Hit from the Universe 6 saga, but unlike with Frieza, I can't see him doing much in his base due to Hit's hacks and his ability to improve at a stupidly fast rate. Next, we have Goku Black. I know we fight Goku Black like 50 times in this one arc, so the obvious solution here is to speak about only the strongest iteration of Goku Black. This would be when he would face against Vegeta in the climax of the saga, being inferior to his blue state in terms of raw power. In the manga, Vegeta would still be unable to utilize the blue form at his peak, but choose to fight in Super Saiyan God and swap to blue the instant he attacks, conserving as much energy as possible while using all of the power of the unmastered Super Saiyan Blue. Goku Black would then fuse with Zamasu, accepting that they have no other choice as they cannot defeat Goku and Vegeta with their gods swapping into blue strategy. Piccolo here has another easy W with his potential awakened state, as again, this Piccolo is a little beneath the Goku and Vegeta that have mastered Super Saiyan Blue and taken it far beyond its usual level of strength by the time of the Moro Saga. Like Hit and Frieza, Goku Black gets loaded by PA Piccolo. Next up we have Fusion Zamasu. Unlike Goku Black, Fusion Zamasu has two wildly different iterations from the manga to the anime, but we'll be focusing on the manga iteration of Fusion Zamasu. In the manga, Fusion Zamasu would have three notable fights. One where he perception blitzes both Super Saiyan God Goku and Vegeta, one-shotting both of them so bad that they revert to their base states, the next being against Vegeta Blue, who would bully him terribly, and then finally, Goku after mastering Super Saiyan Blue and bringing it to a perfected state, who seem to be on par, if not equal, to Fusion Zamasu. All three of these battles taking place from chapters 23 to 26. His third battle against Goku would be the best measuring stick for Zamasu's strength. I would simply argue that Power Awakened Piccolo low dips him like the rest, but there's a huge issue here, the immortality of Fusion Zamasu. In chapter 26, it would be revealed that upon defeating Fusion Zamasu, he will simply resurrect and double himself, and it's completely impossible to defeat him unless you have Zeno, who can wipe you from every facet of existence. Funnily enough, Piccolo does know the Mafuba, so he can seal Fusion Zamasu, and he certainly has way more than enough power to execute this. So this is how I see the fight going. Piccolo would decimate Fusion Zamasu in his power awakened state, causing him to double, and instantly understand that eliminating Zamasu would not be a good idea, so he opts to seal him. He would then whoop both of the Zamasus horribly and seal both of them with two Mafubas, calling it a day. It'd be easy for Piccolo, but not as easy as before. After Fusion Zamasu, we finally enter the Tournament of Power saga, our first challenger here being Toppo. Yes, since Toppo counts as the big bad of the Zeno Exhibition mini-arc, I'll slide him in this list. For Toppo, we'll be using his anime counterpart, as he doesn't have the God of Destruction transformation in the manga, and let's be real guys, this matchup would be way more interesting than the manga Toppo, who's honestly a bum. Toppo in the anime would be matched against many characters, and display a similar performance to his manga counterpart when having the same matchups. For example, he'd be able to match up Blue Goku and Vegeta, so the power levels are consistent there. He would eventually be pushed into his God of Destruction state when fighting Frieza and Android 17 at the same time. This transformation boosts his power massively, allowing him to completely dominate the two fighters until Super Saiyan Blue Evolution Vegeta would arrive to fight him. The two characters are roughly equal, but Vegeta will come out on top, using all of his power in a final explosion, knocking out Toppo completely. When it comes to comparing current Piccolo to God of Destruction Toppo, I believe that Power Awakened Toppo would still be able to take this fight, but at a mid to high difficulty. Power Awakened Piccolo, scaling to a Moro Saga Super Saiyan Blue, places him at a level above Vegeta's peak at the time of the Tournament of Power, as in chapter 58, Super Saiyan Blue Goku was able to destroy Son Goku in his blue state, who was previously overwhelming a post-Tournament of Power Android 17 and 18, Piccolo, and Ultimate Gohan, all at once. God Toppo wouldn't be able to dominate all four of those characters alone, let alone destroying somebody who could do this. Piccolo in his Power Awakened state walks away from this fight as the victor, and if not for whatever reason you have in mind, Orange Piccolo flicks him out of existence. After Toppo's obviously Jiren, and Jiren is a massive jump in power from Toppo. Jiren is going to be that checkpoint of the video where Piccolo is going to require some more effort to beat his opponents, and Jiren would serve as the primary antagonist of the Tournament of Power arc, and in chapter 41, he would push Goku to unlock his Silver Ultra Instinct form. Jiren would be able to match it in power and outlast the transformation, as at the time, Goku did not have a good handle on it and couldn't use it for long without overexerting himself. Besides Jiren's best display of his power, every other display just has him completely dominating the cast. He sits far above anybody Piccolo has faced on this gauntlet who isn't Beerus in terms of raw power, and from my perspective, Jiren sits at the level of Tournament of Power Mastered Ultra Instinct Goku. Now putting Piccolo against him, I think it goes without saying that Piccolo is not beating Jiren in his Power Awakened state no matter how you spin it, as I don't think the Moro Saga Blues come close to the power that Ultra Instinct Goku had in the Tournament of Power. So we'll have to bring Orange Piccolo into the equation, as Orange Piccolo is stated to now be on par with Goku and the others as of the superhero arc, this being after Goku would master the original technique of Ultra Instinct, then take it further beyond with true Ultra Instinct. That's enough to tell me that he certainly beats Jiren, but with what difficulty? I'd say medium at most. Jiren got heavily power crept since his most recent appearance. People will argue otherwise, so let's display the power creep very quickly. Chapter 70 of Dragon Ball Super would have Goku ask Whis if there are any fighters stronger than him and Vegeta. Whis would say no, not specifically. At this point, Vegeta did not have Ultra Ego yet. This means that nobody in the universe but Goku surpasses his Super Saiyan Blue evolution state. Who else is in this universe? Broly. Broly in his full power form is comparable to Jiren at the time of his movie. On top of this, within the same arc, Goku and Vegeta will unlock their new forms and get even stronger in this arc, while fighting Gas. Then after this arc is finished, they get another 2 years of training on Beerus' planet, skyrocketing their power further. Usually, they get a couple of months in between arcs, and this gives them crazy boosts. So imagine 2 years of training. This is the Goku and Vegeta that Piccolo is said to now be on par with. Me saying Orange Piccolo doesn't load with Jiren is probably me being super generous. After the Tournament of Power, we visit the Broly movie, starting with Frieza. Frieza this time around would be much different from the first time we saw him. He'd be far more powerful and have mastery over his golden state. Despite this massive boost in strength, he had a very unlucky matchup, being completely manhandled by Super Saiyan Broly for about an hour straight. To his credit though, surviving an hour beatdown from Broly is still impressive nonetheless. The Dragon Ball Super Broly light novel would also state that Frieza's strikes were so powerful that Broly would have preferred to avoid them in his Super Saiyan state. The same Broly who was eating attacks from both Goku and Vegeta with ease. Putting Piccolo against the Broly Saga's Golden Frieza, I would say that he would more than likely be able to win with his power awakened form, but at a medium to high difficulty, as I don't think Golden Frieza, despite his impressive power here, is power crept by the Gammas and the Blues in the Moro Saga. Piccolo in his power awakened state being on par with these characters should be able to handle Frieza with a bit more trouble than they would, but not too much. His orange state would decimate if need be. Now another very interesting matchup, Broly himself. Broly would fight against Vegeta, Goku, and then Gogeta when they realized that both of their power at the same time stood no chance against Broly in his Super Saiyan state. This Super Saiyan Broly completely piercing through a final Kamehameha from Goku and Vegeta with his own Ki Spears and being invulnerable to anything else they would throw out at him. This resulted in the two Saiyans fusing and bringing out Gogeta to match his power. The fused fighter would force Broly into his Super Saiyan full power form, which is even further beyond the already monstrous Super Saiyan Broly. Despite how powerful Broly was at this point though, Gogeta would tap into his God Ki, go Super Saiyan Blue, and demolish Broly in a one-sided beatdown at that point. Now, scaling Broly is rough, but for the sake of the video, I'm not going down that rabbit hole. One thing the community can agree on here is that Broly at the time of his own movie is around the same level of strength as Jiren, so I'll scale him the same and give him the same exact result as Jiren, which is a medium difficulty victory in Orange Piccolo's favor if I'm being extremely generous toward Broly. At this point, we're in the final stretch, as we're entering the two manga only arcs, the Moro Saga and the Granola Saga. Starting off with the Moro Saga, we have Moro himself. The peak of Moro's power would be displayed after he would fuse with 7-3 and then use 7-3's power in order to copy Beerus' Ultra Instinct, giving him the transformation. He would then use this to briefly match MUI Goku after his training to use Ultra Instinct at will, but as this battle would continue, we would see that Moro cannot contain the power of the angels and begin to swell up, resulting in self-destruction. Moro being equal to a perfected Ultra Instinct Goku at the time of the Moro Saga isn't really anything insanely impressive in comparison to Orange Piccolo, as we would see Goku and Vegeta once again power creep the hell out of every character in this arc through the time skipping between the Moro Saga and the Granola Saga and their subsequent battles with Granola and Gas in the said Granola Saga. Maybe I'm giving the cast at the point of superhero too much credit, but I'm certain that Piccolo using his orange state could defeat Moro at a medium difficulty. Moro's ability to steal his opponent's ki and use it to heal himself and give himself more power will be a big problem, but again, Moro can't maintain his Ultra Instinct or his body will begin to break down. Piccolo, being as intelligent as he is, will more than likely be able to exploit this. After Moro, we come to Gas. Out of all the characters on the list, Gas is going to be the most annoying and complicated to cover due to his ability to always grow beyond the strength of whoever he's fighting at the expense of his lifespan. Throughout Gas' entire run in Super, he was relatively weak, but his brother Elect would make a wish for him to become, and always remain, the strongest in the universe. Gas would give tons of trouble to our heroes Goku, Vegeta, and Granola, and each time he would be overcome by them, he would gain another boost in power and age due to the wish of always remaining the strongest. Gas at the peak of his strength would have his life force drained so much that he was essentially a walking skeleton. At this point, Gas would fight both Goku and Vegeta, apparently having an edge over the two Saiyans until the arrival of Frieza, who would then kill him with one attack. Now this is most difficult of all fights to cover, because we don't really know how much Goku and Vegeta grew in strength in the 2 to 3 year time skip between this arc and the Superhero Saga. Not only this, but it's clear that Orange Piccolo is now a pair of Goku, Gohan, Vegeta, and Broly, although I'm sure Goku, Vegeta, and Gohan are still more powerful than him. But we still have to ask, did Goku and Vegeta surpass Gas at his peak after the time skip? I would say they most likely did, as Goku tends to make massive jumps in strength between each arc. If this is the case, Orange Piccolo should be able to beat Gas at the peak of his power. If they didn't surpass Gas for some strange reason, he more than likely loses like the others would. Piccolo's battle intelligence also plays a role into this, making Gas way more vulnerable to being exploited as an enemy than anybody else on the list, because we see that past a certain point of evolving through his wishes, he just stops thinking and continues to fight. Someone like Piccolo is going to take advantage of this berserker-like state. As we move on from Gas, Black Frieza's next. All we've seen from Black Frieza is that he one-shot Gas, True Ultra Instinct Goku, and Ultra Ego Vegeta, and keeping it a stack, that's all we need to see. Frieza at his third try on this list against Piccolo gets his revenge, and oh man is it one-sided as hell. Frieza clears Piccolo with his eyes closed, 2 toes, and his tail. The power difference between that two is too massive, and Frieza was already confirmed to be nearing the level of Beerus by official statements. And last on this list is Cell Max, and we've already seen this go down. Piccolo still gets mid-diffed by Cell Max, even if he were to go in with a Senzu. I don't think he was that exhausted before fighting Cell Max in the first place, although I'm sure people will argue otherwise. People could also argue that Piccolo was not used to the orange transformation, and yeah, I guess, but we have to make do with the information that we have until the next chapter, and I'm sure the next chapter will have Goku versus Piccolo in it, as Dragon Ball Super by tradition will have a fight in every single chapter, and in the most recent chapter, Goku wanted to fight Piccolo. With that said, this was the Piccolo versus every Dragon Ball Super villain gauntlet, and I'm pretty satisfied with the results. It's good to see Piccolo no longer be a non-factor in the grand scheme of it all, and see that he actually has some pull in the narrative again. With that said, if you watched, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, as it helps the boy out, and I'm so grateful for you watching. With that said, I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.